Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be looking at making a stained glass technique using cut pages in my art journal. So these two pages work together and they were inspired by some new stencils that Dina Wakley has released. So this first one is called Frond and it's one of the coaster stencils. So you can see me drawing around it and cutting it out. I haven't actually used as a stencil yet. As soon as I saw it, I just knew I wanted to do some sort of cut page with this. I haven't done one in a little while and I really enjoy doing them. The great thing about this sort of fluid leaf shape is it is actually quite easy to cut because it's kind of going with the direction of your hand. If you haven't done cut pages before, the big thing is have a new sharp blade. Makes a huge difference. Now you can see that I have stopped there. That's not that finished page, but because that's kind of floating in the middle of the page, I wanted to have a think about how I was going to connect it to the edge of the pages. This is a second stencil, and I think it's one of my favorites. It's called Flowing Petals. It just works so nicely together. It's kind of like a mandala-ish type stencil. So you can see how I just sort of squared off the edges of some of those pieces. So I just wanted to make sure with my cut page that I was cutting it out, but also I had a bit of a border around the edge. So those pieces weren't going to extend off the edge of the page. Again, like the previous stencil, it's actually quite an easy cut because there's nothing too fiddly. They're quite big chunks you're cutting out at a time, but obviously having a really sharp knife makes a huge difference. I really love using this um, ledger journal to do this because the cardboard is sturdy, but it's also not thick that you're really sort of having to hammer through it to cut, which is a huge benefit. You can see in some of the little bits where I've got gaps that weren't on the stencil, I have added in some little extra flourishes. That's just because it's me, and you know, once I get going, I see spaces and I keep cutting. So you can see it didn't take too long. Obviously, this is sped up, but it didn't take too long to do that, particularly that second page. So while I knew I wanted to do a cut page, I didn't necessarily have an idea of how I was going to do it. Um, I did know on the front page I wanted to sort of have some letters. Um, Doing letters in my journal is and quotes in my journal is something I really love doing it. Um, and I like this bloom and grow. I thought it would be good. So I knew I wanted to put the and on somewhere, but I couldn't quite work out how to do it. You can see me sort of coloring in some bits of my letters. So I do that when I am not 100% sure what bits I can cut out and what bits I can't. So it's really important to always have an anchor point. You can see I extended my letters, so they were touching the top and they were touching that circular shape. That meant I could also cut out the center of the O's because they were connected to the base. Because I made my B so big, and again it's touching the edge sort of, I could then cut out this big chunk so that circle was flowing free. So if you're not 100% sure, it's always a good idea to get like a color pen or something and color in either the bits you're going to cut out or the bits that are going to stay on the page, and just make sure that nothing is hanging free on the page, because that's where you sort of run into trouble a little bit. So you need to make sure it is connected to an edge somewhere. So you can sort of see me going backwards and forwards and just checking. The reason I do that is I just want to see how it works together if I can see it. So this first page I want to mix some colours together, so I'm going in with fir and sage and lime green, and I think a little bit of evergreen as well. Mixed all the colours together and just sort of swept it over because I just wanted this sort of um, foresty type colour. On the second page, I thought I would go for blues, partly because they're my favourite colour, and I'd sort of done the greens on the first page. So I thought sort of looking through both of them, you'd have the splashes of blues and green, and that would work together. So this is sort of about as kind of far as I'd got where I was sort of thinking about what I was doing. You can see the 2 pages, you know, you can see through them, but they don't necessarily go together. So what I am doing with this one, I decided I want to put some acetate behind it because I had this idea of using the new gloss colors from Dina Wakley and basically trying to pop them into the acetate. So obviously the cut edge is going to act as a little well and then put them in. And so I did. So you can see me starting with the colors. This one's watery. So I'm just going in, I'm using the dropper to pop in the ink. It was actually a lot easier than I thought when I tried to clean things up. So it's usually when I made a mess. But because you don't have to put very much in, you just sort of want to cover the surface. You could probably use paintbrush if you wanted to, but I wanted to have a fair bit because I wasn't 100% sure what was going to happen with this. Now, obviously, because it is an acrylic, the base is acrylic, it is going to dry on anything. I knew it would dry on transparencies. But because I was putting on such a thick layer, I was wondering how it would actually end up. The other thing to consider is, which was slightly frustrating at the time because I have absolutely no patience whatsoever, I couldn't use my heat gun on this because it would warp the acetate behind it. So I was going to have to be really patient and put it aside until it dried fully, which nearly killed me because I wanted to get in and do stuff to it. It's like, oh, I could maybe. And it's like, no, Niamh, you need to step away and you need to actually let this dry properly. So I forced myself to do some other stuff instead. So as you can see me going in, you can sort of see what's happening. The color is drying slightly, or it's pooling in some areas, it's pulling some of the color away. You can, particularly down in the blue and some of the pink spots, you can sort of see that happening a little bit. Now, the bit that I was getting really excited about, which, really encouraged me to keep going with this because I really liked how it looked, was that even though that blue down the bottom looks like it is empty on one side, the color has actually stuck. So you do have this beautiful blue, very pale blue sheen over the transparency that colors the whole thing. So you've got sort of going from light to dark. So a bit like, traditional stained glass windows where, you can actually see the different levels of thickness and the different colors in it. It gives you a very similar effect. And I just really loved how beautiful and jewel-like it looked. I didn't really particularly want to do much more with it, which surprised me because usually I'm a more is more person. But I was fairly patient with it. So I went back to this page. I used my media glue to glue down the transparency, which had the writing on it, which I thought gave a nice contrast to the back. And I'm just using my white pen, really scribbly lines, and outlining everything so it sort of stands out a little bit. I decided I would outline my page here as well. So everything has dried now. You can still see it's got that really beautiful gloss effect. All of those areas have got colour in them. Some of them are quite pale, but they've still got colour in them. And when you hold it up to light, you just get a beautiful effect through it. So having that well with the cut page just works so well. Bit of a homophone there. So now I'm going in, just doing those doodly pages. You can sort of see me going backwards and forwards. To be honest, it probably doesn't work brilliantly together like I imagined, but I still like the 2 pages, and if they sit on their own, so be it, because it's fairly cool. So I'm going in with my stamp to make my and. I cannot find my A at the moment, so we've got a rogue V upside down that I'm going to put a little white line in, and that's going to be my A. And we've got bloom and grow. So if you don't have a letter, or if you've lost a letter, use your imagination. You can come up with something different. For the second page, as I said, I didn't really want to do much to it. So with a new stamp set, they had the new is You Are Magical stamp, and I just thought I'd put that down at the bottom because I wanted to make the big focus being that sort of beautiful stained glass that I'd been patient with and left. So you can see in this close-up how it's dried and the beautiful texture you get, that shine and shimmer from the different levels of the gloss on it. It's just such a wonderful technique. It would be fabulous for card fronts, for someone special. Coming up to Christmas, I can imagine beautiful poinsettia done in the same way. So the world is your oyster. I hope you have fun with this technique. I know I did. And until next time, bye for now.